my DS, how I like my coffee, hot and black. The packaging lies. In this shot, the stylus is writing all by itself. It doesn't actually do that. Beneath all of these fingerprints on the protective coating is a very exciting handheld game console, the Nintendo DS Lite. Not the DSi, not the original DS, the Lite, which is lighter than the original one. It's a bit smaller, and it still plays Game Boy Advance games. I just flipped everyone off. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. That's my bad. Just in case you weren't sure, games are sold separately. If you look beyond the obvious facts that this thing has 2 screens and works with a touch screen and stylus for many games, this is, in my opinion, like the portable PlayStation 2, because of the sheer vast number of games available for it, and the fact that it's backwards compatible with the Game Boy Advance, giving you thousands of games to play. It has a badass flip screen case, and this thing is from Nintendo, so it's built like a tank. Very rugged. I like that for a portable game console. And while it's maybe not the most technologically advanced handheld, it doesn't have the best graphics, it's not very good for 3D style games, there's a never-ending supply of affordable games for this thing. Were I not filming classic game room reviews with this, I probably would have chosen a different color because the black gets fingerprints very easily. But since I filmed the screen, black stays out of the way. The easiest. There's a variety of different colors available for the Nintendo DS. You can even get it in pink, fellas. When it comes to styling, I actually prefer the older sibling, the Game Boy Advance SP, which I think has a better screen, and I like the design better anyway, and the buttons. But they both share something in common here, a protective shell, which is nice. This way you can throw it in your pocket and travel and not worry about scratching up the screen. I use little rubber feet on the bottom of all of these because I film the screens, and as this is the Nintendo DS Lite, it will play Game Boy Advance video games. There's Mario Kart Super Circuit, an excellent one. So you pull out this little protective thing that they have on the bottom of the DS here. Let's get focus. And that goes right there. After you turn on the DS, it gives you an option on the bottom screen to start Game Boy Advance game, and when you push that, it starts playing on the top screen. It does a slight letterboxing effect because of the aspect ratio difference between the Game Boy Advance and the Nintendo DS, but it still looks very good, and most importantly, it works. Sadly, this does not play old school Game Boy cartridges. For that, you need an old school Game Boy Advance, or the SP, which is my preferred model. There's a power switch on the side here for the DS. We'll just give that a push. Turns off the game console. This is the underside of the Nintendo DS Lite, covered in fingerprints. It does not come with these rubber feet. Those are custom. And this is where the Nintendo DS games go. We'll insert the Dark Spire, my 2009 Game of the Year. Clicks into place. Like I said in the beginning of the review, I think the strongest feature of this thing is not necessarily the touch screen or the dual screens, but just the variety of games, because no matter what kind of video games you enjoy, the Nintendo DS has you covered. I said the exact same thing about the PlayStation 2. The number of games is important because you don't want to be stuck with just a handful of games to choose from. I turned off the lights so that we could see the screen better. Another thing I like about the DS is that the selection of games is affordable. Even new releases are practically half the cost of other big budget releases. Used games are dirt cheap. Even the Nintendo DS itself really isn't all that expensive. Now, most of the games will use the dual split screen for some kind of effect in the gameplay. Let's start the Dark Spire here. This is a game that uses it extremely well because the bottom screen has all of the information and the top screen shows you where you're moving. It's like an old school dungeon crawler. One of my favorite games, one that I play all the time on my Nintendo DS. See, there's the top screen, and the bottom screen shows me my party health. I can pull up all my magic spells, stuff like that. Well, that guy doesn't have any spells. You can find someone who does. There we go. Awesome. Okay, well, let's just go through this door here. Here we go. I've encountered some enemies, some goblins. Some games for the DS will force you to use the stylus at all times, others let you use the buttons, which I prefer. It's like unsheathing a sword. Alright, let's take a look at a game that uses the Nintendo DS stylus.